Hi and welcome back to another video of jPlay. I am Marcus and today I'm doing a rather quick solo playthrough of Maeshowe, which has just launched on Kickstarter. So yeah, the usual disclaimer applies. Everything you see here is a prototype and may change as part of some final adjustments during the campaign and maybe also the delivery. I'm also working with the beta rules, so I can safely blame those in case of goofs. Isn't that nice? In Maeshowe, a solo player or two players in the cooperative variant are trying to make it out of a Neolithic chamber tomb on mainland Orkney in Scotland. The legend says that I think two Viking parties made it into Maeshowe in 1150 and 1153, and I guess one to find treasure and the other to find shelter from an actual thunderstorm. And this game actually combines both legend into one, let's call it mashup, at least when playing the two-player game. One player then takes over the role of Earl Harold Madadason, and the other one the role of Renwald, Earl of Moor, as far as I understand. And when you play alone, you can choose, but game-wise it doesn't really matter anyway. And yes, the game comes with some nice background here. And overall, it's really an interesting story. Because I think when the tomb was opened back in 1861, I believe, a lot of runic inscriptions were found and basically proving the Viking presence, and that I think were over 600 years ago. And again, a very interesting topic. But I guess back to the game, where we are trying to successfully make it out of this tomb here and without going mad or even worse die in the end or before the end. And we do this by playing and discarding cards here as we go along. Let's say, be a bit careful, because some of those cards are a little bit, I would say, brutal. Let's put it like this. So I think at least on one kind of those cards we are seeing where we are butchering a goose, and it's a it's a nice artwork, so don't get me wrong. Overall, the artwork on this game is really amazing, and I think I can show this to you, has been done by Lars Munk here. I really hope I don't butchering the name here. Maybe it's Monk, so again, apologies for that. But keep in mind, we are trying to make it out of this harsh environment here, so the game has to be brutal to some extent. And I promise you, no animals were harmed in the production of this video, at least. The box says 30 minutes of desperation and madness, but typically, at least from my experience, the game ends earlier than this, but also depends a little bit on the difficulty level and whether or not you're using the small expansion models that come with the game. And today I decided to integrate one of those expansions. And as far as I can remember, Ricky Royal was using the Hope Horror expansion, and each expansion only consists of 3 cards, by the way. So why not use the Gluttony Ghana one today, shall we? And I think with that being said, we will get started. I will explain you everything as I go. I also decided to do the game on the medium difficulty level, so we have to basically get rid of 4 of those pathway tokens. On easy mode, that's 3, and pretty much you can go up to 7, but also depends a little bit on the expansions you're using. I'm also using the setup variant when using the Garner and Gluttony expansion here, so I think we start with 3 food then. 1, 2, 3, and this counts for 1, not for a 0. That's really something that was a little bit confusing to me. So we are really here, it's 1, when it moves off it's 0. The same is true for health, and I believe in this variant we are also starting at 3 health, if I recall that correctly. Gluttony Ghana, 2 health actually. No, it's even worse. So wow, it seems we have made it barely into this chambered tomb here during the thunderstorm, and pretty much when we are losing all our health, we are toast on we die, and if we no longer can play and discard 1 card during a round, then we will also that's game over. And that's something that I will explain to you while we go. I will now shuffle this deck of cards, and it's definitely a thick deck of cards, a lot of different stuff that we encounter. And we will start the game with 5 cards, and then we are already ready to go. Okay, and this is our hand of cards, and I believe this is not a bad hand of cards. The problem is we don't have a lot of those pathway cards, because in order to get rid of those pathway tokens we have to play 4 of those, I think, pathway cards into a consecutive row, into the so-called row later on. I will explain that to you. Whenever this row is interrupted, let's say I'm playing 2 of those pathway cards, and then because for whatever reason I need some more food playing this goose here, then I've interrupted the line and have to start all over again. And right now I only have 1 of those pathway cards here, and that's definitely not a great start at all. And what you do during the game is you will always play a card, and you will discard a card. All or most of those cards have a play effect, that's the top row, and they have a discard effect. So let's say I'm playing this card, then I gain 2 health. If I use it to discard it, nothing happens, which is usually a good thing. So again, I now have to play a card into the row, this will be here, and I have to discard a card. Let's put the discard pile up here. In which order I do that, that's totally up to me. I can first discard a card, trigger the effect, and then play a card and trigger the effect. Again, I can usually play cards without triggering anything. There are some exceptions. I think it even comes with a Gluttony Garner expansion here, where it really says basically in the rules or in the description of the card that you cannot do this when you don't have any food, for example. At least I as far as I remember now. We will see about that when this card comes up. This Raven here is obviously amazing when I play this, because I get 2 health when I play this. If I discard this card here, and although those cards have names, but I think it's something that collapse pathway or so. So if I play this one, that's an insane card here. I'm losing 2 health and 2 of my basically I will put back 2 pathway tokens, which is insane. This is a crazy card to play. And usually you only do that when you don't have any other choices, but I think we should be better than that. So I guess we might as well discard this card. So let's discard this card, and we will trigger this card effect here first, which says we are losing 1 health. Basically this one here. Right now that's still okay, this counts as 1 health, but now we are playing our card into the row, and yeah, this one gives us 2 health. Well, that's okay, and that's, by the way, a marker for the maximum health, because this is something that you can lose your maximum health whenever you go mad, and not sure if you will see this in this playthrough or not. It may happen. Then this marker will slowly move down, so we can then not go beyond, I don't know, 3 health here, for example. But right now we are still okay. This was pretty much already our turn, so now we are drawing up to 5 cards, as long as we can do that. Okay, this simply, I think it's a sleep card. I think that's okay. And another one of those. Okay, that's actually quite terrible, because again, I haven't seen any of those more pathway cards here, and we really need those. That's our goal. We need to get rid of 4 of those pathway tokens. Right now we are still okay in respect to those runes, because we have 2 colors. So we see 2 colors of runes. If we, let's say, draw up, and let's say we only have 3 of those. Let's say we play those 2 cards this round. We are not doing this, but let's say we do that. Then we are drawing up to 5 more cards. And if these then show 5 red symbols in all of our cards, then we have gone mad. And we do some stuff with the discard pile. We are losing some maximum health. So usually something you try to avoid as much as possible. Sometimes you don't have a choice. You have to take some risks, but yeah, usually you really try to avoid that. And that's the reason why I wouldn't not necessarily play both of those blue cards here, or play one and discard one, because this really would leave me vulnerable to this effect here. So I guess again we could go for something similar. Maybe we are discarding this card here, again losing 1 health, so we have taken care of this card as discard effect. And I think then let's get some sleep, and yeah, we will play this card now into our row, and this gives us our health back. And then again, that's totally legal. In this case, I think the order didn't matter. It might matter when we're already at our maximum health, because if we first would play then the card that gives us health, we cannot go beyond 4 in this case. We would still lose 1. That's really the important piece, why you get to choose when you are triggering those effects. Again, we will be okay as long as we have this blue card in our hand. Okay, we have another blue card, and here we have, okay, that's another pathway, and that's amazing. So we have already 2 of those. And the game awards you if you're playing pathway cards into this consecutive row that are of the same color, pretty much. So if we would be able to play 4 of those cards into the row, then we would remove 1 of those pathway tokens. If all of those 4 cards are the same rune, the same color, we would be allowed to remove 2 of those. And that's actually our goal. So that's definitely amazing. We will not start a path yet because, let's say again, nothing else shows up. Then I think we might break our row and then it doesn't gain us anything. So usually, from my experience, you should not start before you have at least 3 cards in your hand. Ideally 5, but maybe that would be a little bit too lame. So again, I get to choose if I want to discard and play a card, or which card to play. I think for now this one here, which is called Discover Treasure. I just checked the rules and again, I really love the artwork on those things. I can play. If I play it, I would lose 2 health. That's definitely not a good idea. If I discard it, I will still lose a health. So I guess we might be able to do something with those 2 goose here, or geese here. Sorry, that's the plural for, yeah, I think it's a goose card. So I guess we will simply play one of those into the row, which gives us some food, and then I guess we will discard this one. Again, this doesn't do anything to us. We are simply discarding it for nothing. For us, it's a great card, keep that in mind. But of course, again, we have to do something with those, and I think let's not lose too much health at this point in time. Let's draw up to our hand limit of 5. Oh, that's another path here, but that's a blue one. But I still take it. I mean, even if we only be able to remove 1 of those, that's still good. And that's another red one. So now I think I have to start basically making it out of the tomb. I think we have to go for the first attempt, because even though I only have 3 red and a blue, it still gives us 1 pathway, which is still okay. But maybe by then we get another red card here, for example. So I think let's go for it anyway. And right now it also protects us from going mad. So I think that's okay. So we are taking basically this pathway card, and I believe the official name is Excavate Passage, which makes sense. We are really digging through here with our bare hands. So we have started our row now. And again, if we are interrupting this, then this card is pretty much lost, doesn't do anything for us. So we really need 4 of those Excavate Passage rows in a consecutive row. If there is a blue, that's still okay. We don't get the bonus, but at least we get to remove 1 of those passage tokens. And then we have to discard 1, and I believe I have to swallow the pill now, and we'll get rid of this one. This could really come back to bite me, actually. Because, yeah, we are losing 1 more health. So let's see about that. Really depends a little bit on the extra cards we are drawing. So it's definitely already quite dangerous. And usually, by the way, in the, let's say, normal mode of the game, you start with 1 food and 4 health. And we already had some. Of course, we have a lot of food, but we haven't found a feeding card yet where we can butcher those geese, for example. So yeah, that's definitely kind of a bummer in this case. And I don't want to play one of those cards now because, again, we have started our row down here. And this is what I like about games like this, where you have to make those tough decisions. It's really an easy game, but at some point in time, you really have to take very, very, very difficult decisions. Okay, that's another bad one, actually. It doesn't really help us. And another Excavate card. Okay, it's not the right color, but I think I don't want to discard this one. The problem is, okay, I still can take 1 more wound without dying. So we will definitely continue with our passage excavating, or we are excavating our past. So we are playing this into our row. So we are at 2 out of 4. There's a little 4 on this. Looks a little bit runic. It definitely makes sense thematically. I still need to discard a card, and right now I don't know if I should do that, but I really shouldn't discard those passage tokens. I think I shouldn't do that. This could be a rather short playthrough, but that's what it is. As I told you, it's usually not taking 30 minutes or so. But this also means we have lost. This is a little bit dirty, right? Is it? No, I don't know what happened here. Let me see. No, it's what it is. So we are moving this back. It's a prototype, keep that in mind. So we are still at 1 health. But yeah, I think our excavation attempt could be over now, because we might have to take a very, very bad decision now. But let's see what cards. Okay, that's another red card. I take that. And this is another one. We cannot discard this card here, because then we would die and the game would be over. So I guess we have now 4 of those, so we can definitely make a row of 4 of the same color, which is, I think, still okay. So maybe, yeah, let's simply play this into our row. So we had 3 out of 4. And then I really hate to do this. We have to discard this excavate passage here, because it doesn't, whatever, come with any negative effects whatsoever. Let's draw 2 more cards. That's another excavate passage. And oh, okay. That's okay, because we are at our maximum food level now. So I think we can safely discard this one here. I think that's okay. Awesome. Okay, we were lucky. So we are playing our 4th excavate passage card into the row. It's the 4th card, and it also means it's basically 4 of the same symbols, which allows us to remove 2 of those passage tokens. Nicely done. 2 more to go, and we make it out here of Maeshowe. We still have to discard a card though, and I think, yeah, let's totally discard this one here. Doesn't come with any ill effects whatsoever, so I take that. Just as a reminder for myself, I will play this card sideways. So if I continue playing no pathway cards, then I know, okay, this already triggered something. Just for me, it's not in the rules, but it helps me to remember that I already used this row of 4 here. But now, see for yourself, we are already in a bad shape, because we have 3 blue cards and we are drawing 2 more. If both of those cards are blue now, then we will go mad, and then, yeah, we will lose the game, because we will lose 1 maximum health and we will also lose 1 actual health. So that's really kind of a problem. And that's the card I'm telling you. It's a great card, by the way. We could use it well, but if we are now drawing a blue card, then the game is over anyway. And bam. It is. We have gone mad. So a series of things would happen now. First of all, we would basically discard our hand of cards. We would put that into our discard pile and shuffle the rest back into the deck. That's basically a good thing. Getting more cards can be helpful, because again, this usually doesn't replenish on its own, so we could have some more time. The problem is, and that's now part of the living rules, the rules that ship with the game, or rather the prototype I received, only say you are losing 1 health permanently. This means that your maximum health will be 1 less for the rest of the game. But they actually mean is we lose 1 maximum health, but we are also losing 1 actual health. And this brings us to 0 health, and yeah, we haven't made it out of this dreaded tomb. Pretty much gone mad and, I don't know, starved to death or whatever it is. But we had a lot of food. Problem is we couldn't use it. And that was really a bummer. And maybe this was the critical error. I maybe should have really upped my health a little bit more before we went for our first excavation attempt. Usually it can go well. Again, if the next card would have been a red card, then we would be totally fine then, and we had the card in our hand to heal ourselves, because this card tells you I can give up any amount of food I still have, maximum is 4 in this case, and gain the same amount of health for that. So I could have spent 4 food here and pretty much would, or 3 food in this case, and this would have brought me back up to 4 health at that point in time, and I was still allowed having 4 health before I went mad. But yeah, that's life. A very, very miserable life. It's very strange that we haven't seen any of those expansion cards, like the Ghana one here, for example, like the Gluttony one here, for example. Especially the Gluttony one is a rather tough nut, because you are either losing all of your food, and this is the one exception I mentioned before. You have to have 1 food at that point, at least 1 food, or if you play it, then you're losing 2 health. On the other hand, the Ghana is a rather helpful card. When discarded, we gain a food, always nice. But if we discard food, and when we play this card, we get to pretty much put twice as many of our discarded cards back into the deck. And that really buys you a lot of time when time is running out. Let's say you really have discarded a lot of those pathway excavate passage tags, for example, then yeah, this is the perfect card, getting those back into the deck, buying you some more time. And maybe that's what I should have hoped for, but I really checked the deck. I think the card was somewhere still here in the middle or so. So I could have waited forever before this card had showed up. But yeah, that's pretty much how you play Maeshowe. I definitely encourage you to also check out Ricky Royal's playthrough. I think he's doing one run with easy mode, and then he's in the same video going for another run, because also his first run was taking him not a lot of time. Same as here. Do check it out. Definitely check out the campaign on Kickstarter. Yes, you will find the link somewhere here. It will pop up through the video. You will find a link in the description of this video for sure. A huge shout out to all of my patrons as usual. Really do appreciate all your support. Like and subscribe this video. Go check out my other content, and yeah, really hope to see you soon in one of my other videos. And until then, bye bye.